It's Wednesday, Suns fans, which means it's time for the Suns Jam Session podcast, hosted by John and Matthew, thus the term jam. Welcome to the Suns Jam Session podcast. I am John. I'm joined by Matthew. He's here
what's
for the
going
live
on?
streamers. Not much. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Wednesdays are my favorite nights, dude. Especially even if the Yankees lose. It's tough. It's been a tough night, dude. It's we're both baseball fans. I'm Yankees, you're Dodgers. The Dodgers are winning, but I just got through a loss, so I'm gonna pick myself up and get ready to entertain these jamsters.
Yeah, you got to pivot from going baseball and emotional and every pitch and go right back into the Phoenix Suns, which is always a pleasant topic of conversation.
Our number one.
Number one, baby. I mean, that's why we do a podcast on it. So, sorry that the Yankees lost for you. The Dodgers are currently winning there, but who cares? Everyone who's listening to this podcast probably says fuck the Dodgers. So you guys probably don't want to hear about what I think about it. But we want to welcome everybody to the Suns Jam Session podcast as per usual. Thank you for pressing play, whether you're listening to us on the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're watching along on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. If you're doing any one of those things, make sure that you give us a like at Suns Jam on Twitter. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube. We truly appreciate it. It always helps us provide you with this consistent quality Suns content. Well, I won't say quality. This consistent Suns content.
It's consistent. It's out there. It's for you guys to chew on, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, chew it like a T-bone steak, or just spit it out. We don't care.
Swallow it. All right.
So we already have Steve Holler in the chat. Hey, I'm not a fan of either the Yankees or Dodgers. Yeah, you know what? Not a lot of people are.
You know what I noticed is every fantasy league I'm in for football or baseball, for some reason everyone's like either F the Yankees or F the Cowboys. It's like, you know what? Why is it always the thing? I don't know. It's just they haven't won anything forever, so why does it matter? Anyways, still stick around.
I know.
Anyways.
Yeah, please stick around. The Dodgers haven't won anything since 1988, so we haven't really hurt your feelings. But anyways, the Phoenix Suns, we're going to be talking about plenty of things on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. We're going to talk about Desmond Bane. That kind of is a hot topic right now, seen as his name's been linked to the Phoenix Suns, and it's been both positive, both from he and James Jones. And we're going to play Would You Rather. It's a game that we played a lot of during the pandemic on the podcast, kind of like, hey, would you rather the Suns wore throwback jerseys or got brand new ones? We're going to do what Would You Rather off-season edition, and we're really going to just kind of draw our line in the sand on some different topics when it comes to the Phoenix Suns and this upcoming off-season. So without further ado, it's time to smash open a beer as per usual. This one's for you, Boyd. Watching on Facebook. Smash it. Yeah, we're going to smash this one right here. This is, your typical delicious Dos Equis, and let's talk Suns, baby. So Desmond Bane is the guy that everybody's kind of talking about right now, Matthew. I don't know if you saw this, but of course he had a comment that was put out. I know that Bright Side of the Sun covered it, and pretty much he stated, I had a long conversation with James Jones. He's one of the guys that was really high IQ pertaining to James Jones playing days. He knew his role in the team. He could shoot the ball, brings a lot of similar qualities I bring to the team. And ever since that moment, that's kind of been one of the things that a lot of Suns fans have kind of opened their eyes and be like, oh, hey, who's this Desmond Bane kid? But it's somebody who you actually were researching a couple weeks ago, right? You want to tell us a little bit about your findings as you researched him?
Yeah. So it's cool because it's another name. It's another guy on this big draft board of maybe these guys can help the Suns like instantly, an instant impact. This guy actually is that he's the guy that he's played the 4 years in college. That's where the IQ comes from because he's drastically improved every year where he was at TCU. And one thing really quick, I guess he went to Seton Catholic High School. Is that like, I looked it up. I believe that's the one in Chandler. That's the one I went to.
No, this is in Illinois.
I know. I'm just kidding. But anyways, so, yeah, so I was just thinking that, the IQ's there. It's definitely a James Jones guy. I think he would fit terrifically behind Ricky Rubio, maybe something like that. A role player, obviously someone that they compared to Malcolm Brogdon. So Brogdon too, he won Rookie of the Year. His first year in the league, obviously, which made no sense what I just said. But he won Rookie of the Year. But he's kind of always just been kind of the undertone of a team. And now you see Brogdon kind of excelling. It took him maybe 3 or 4 years to really get his feet underneath him. So I see this guy kind of playing the same role. When you see him on the court, dude, the first thing I read about this guy was he was jacked, a big mother freaker. And honestly, when you watch him on the court, this dude is big. And I think just to have him with that size, he doesn't really finish around the rim as well. He honestly is a guy that can shoot well, 43% or 44% from three, which is fantastic. So this is exactly the guy that this team would need. It's someone that has a high IQ, that can shoot the three, and they can come in and give consistent minutes. I can see that. And it's great because it's another guy we can look at to maybe even a great addition to the Suns.
Yeah, it's kind of your typical James Jones guy, I feel. Like you said, a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, has the right attitude when it comes to things. Here's what I thought when I first saw Desmond Bane. I go, this is kind of like what would happen if Devin Booker and like Eric Bledsoe had a baby. Like, he's jacked, he's got the shooting ability, he can finish with both hands. He's somebody who is physical, plays some defense. And he reminded me of a larger Eric Bledsoe, and I was like, and especially the way he was kind of finishing around the rim.
Yes.
Not so much in the way that Eric Bledsoe used to drive to the rim, get clueless, and throw the ball to the opposition, but more so in the way that he actually finished around the rim. You look at kind of how KOC brought him up on his big draft board, and it shows a lot of things that I think are very appealing to the Suns. Perimeter shooting, hustle, being something that is definitely something that I'm a big fan of. Off the ball defense, like you said, high IQ guard who plays hard, already a veteran skill set and projects favorably as a rotation player. And something that I really like about Desmond Bane was something that I was watching on Suns Geek, who is actually going to be one of our special guests tonight. He couldn't make it, unfortunately, because he had an injury. So prayers up to Suns Geek. Hope you're feeling better. You'll join us for probably one of our next upcoming podcasts. But Suns Geek on his YouTube channel put together a segment on Desmond Bane, and one of the things that he brought up was the fact that Desmond Bane's one of those gym rat guys who's like, listen, when I get to the gym or when I get into a game scenario, I'm ready for it because I've practiced it 1,000 times in the gym. And that's what I like to hear from a player. It's the attitude thing. It's the thing that we missed on with Josh Jackson, where we're like, this guy's got all the talent, he's got all the intangibles, but he didn't have the right attitude or work ethic. Desmond Bane appears to be one of those guys, right?
Oh, definitely, dude. When you watch him on the court, he seems so comfortable. And honestly, I guess he's going projected at number 19 on KOC's board, but that's just in the rankings of the players on the big board. But he's definitely some guy where you watch him, I feel comfortable to where I would trust him with the ball. I would trust him with any kind of situation that's on the court. Of course, that's just in the college, but honestly, playing 4 years in college, I feel like maybe it's going to be a thing to where it's going to come back. Maybe it's going to be things that players might do now. If these players come out, maybe like Cam Johnson did. I'm just saying, like, the ones that stick around to get the IQ to come in and make an impact right away. I mean, why not? And this is what the guy's trying to prove. And the thing I love the most is just him consistently improving every year to year. And you love to see that with the players in the NBA, but let alone college. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I don't know necessarily if that's going to occur, the 4-year college player coming back, because it benefits the NBA. Because on both sides, it just doesn't make sense. You have the guys who want that, to get out of poverty, essentially, and to make that first big paycheck by coming into the NBA. And you have the teams that are looking for that flashy signing that they could potentially, bring it to their organization and help for long-term success, like a la LeBron James. It's like, this guy's coming in at 19. We're going to have him till he's at least 26 if we can, keep him happy. So, but still, to your point, I think that he's somebody who definitely is somebody who could contribute to the team right away. And I think that that's something that's very valuable. You look at him, career 43.3% on threes, and that isn't 1 year of, kind of a shitty year in, a COVID year in college. That's 4 years at TCU. Blossoming playmaking potential, 3.9 assists per game. Again, from two guard, I'm taking that. Great team defender, 2.5 steal percentage, and 22 to start next season. So definitely somebody who I think that could really affect this team if he comes in via the draft. If we do want to take that chance, he is currently projected to answer Boyd's question in the chat. Where's he projected to go? it's all over the place right now. That's what's, it depends on the mock draft you're looking at. The one that I typically look at a lot is Kevin O'Connor on the Ringer, and he's currently 19th to the Nets there. I've seen one going 22nd to the Lakers, but that was an earlier one. Obviously, the Lakers are going to have a much higher pick, but he's kind of going a little bit later than that 10th pick. But anyone outside of like the top 2 could end up anywhere in this draft, right?
Yeah, it's going to be so random, man, because once this draft gets going, you're going to just be like, oh, this guy's going there. And it's not really a lot of teams are reaching for players. I feel like if they move up or they're getting picked too high, I kind of think that that's going to be a thing of the past where players will go, our teams will go get their players. They will go get the guys they're looking out for, and that they kind of hope they're not going to wait for them to fall to them, even though it's a 2-round draft. They kind of just want to go get who they think can fit the team currently. And this guy seems like that guy that the Suns might be interested in, and I wouldn't be too mad if we get him.
Yeah, this is one of those drafts where you're going to go for team fit versus best available player because, well, who is the best available player? We really don't know. So I think that's something that we can definitely look forward to when draft night comes on November 18th. A couple comments we have in the chat. Thank you for those of you who are watching us live. Shamil Kasim, he's a bigger D Carter defensively. I like that. He has, he's pointing out the fact that Bang is somebody who could be potentially like a Javon Carter, just bigger. And that's something that I definitely want as a part of this team. Again, I'm a defensive guy at heart. So if you can bring in a guy, especially a rookie who's coming in on your second team, and he can provide offense but play defense, I'm all for that.
Oh, yeah, me too, man. And maybe the Suns, too, are looking for someone like, the way Campaign was playing in the bubble to where he can just come out and hit those big shots. Maybe this is kind of that guy that can also play defense, too, as well. So,
sorry, you got me mid sip there. Sorry. All right, well, it's time.
It's part of the job.
It's time. It's would you rather time, my friend. It's would you rather. So, I mean, for those of you who don't know how to play would you rather, it's pretty basic. It's like, would you rather have this or this? We have 2 options that we'll go back and forth asking us these questions. Not necessarily all these questions are correlated. We're just asking which is more valuable to you. So that'll kind of reveal itself as we go. So, yeah, Matthew, do you want me to ask you the first one?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
let's get this started, man.
We're going to start with the draft, and I'm going to ask you, quite frankly, would you rather the Suns draft a point guard or a wing in the 2020 draft?
Okay, so for this one, I was thinking, like, who do we have on the roster? This is always a thing. It's like if we have Javon Carter come back, then no, I don't want a point guard. Obviously not. We have Javon Carter and Campaign coming back. The wing, and this is your thing. You can never have too many wings. And what I'm seeing in this draft, especially if you're picking number 10, there's going to be a lot of wings that might be hit or miss, but can also maybe be the guy that's the hit. Because a lot of these guys that I'm keep watching, they can fill a lot of roles on this team, and a lot of them are defensive guys. A lot of them are, they can hit the 3. They can do a lot more than what they used to back in the day, back in the old day. But I'm really focused on the wings. If we get a point guard, that's fine. I just feel like for the first time in a long time, this Suns team has been very comfortable with the point guard position. So I'm looking for wings. I feel like that might be your answer.
Yes. If I was to choose I would rather choose a wing. For the reason you stated at the end, I feel confident in our point guard play right now. I don't think that now is the time to bring in that point guard to provide developmental minutes because we're not a team looking to develop guys right now. We're a team that is looking to win. And you don't do that by bringing in guys via the draft and giving them 15 to 20 minutes coming off the bench consistently in an effort to try to develop them for the long term. Ricky Rubio, it's time to win with him, and it's time to win with him now. Now, maybe in a couple years when he's starting to get a little bit older, when he's in his 31, 32 years old at the back end of his 3 years that we have left with him. It's 3 years, right? Or is it 2? I always forget. You're on mute. Boop. You're on mute.
Yeah, so I had to take a quick pee. What I was saying was it's a 3-year contract, which is fine. I mean, that's normally what you're going to see nowadays. But anyways, what were you saying?
Yeah, go back to peeing. So yeah, I think that with Ricky Rubio, next year we can maybe draft that point guard that could be of the future. This is not the draft where we're going to sit there and have a really solid understanding of what these point guards are, the Tyrese Halliburtons, the Killian Hayes, people of that nature. Let's go ahead and let's draft a wing. If we're going to use that pick at number 10 to do anything, we should draft a wing, in my opinion. I think that a lot of the teams or a lot of the players that are falling to our position are going to be wing players to begin with, because I feel like in the first 10 picks, probably about 3 or 4 of them are going to be point guards, and you don't want the secondary scraps, you want the prime meat. So that's what I think there.
All right, so we would both rather have a wing.
That is correct.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
Next up, what would you rather draft, Tyrese Halliburton or Killian Hayes?
Okay, so if we were to draft a point guard, which one of those two guys would I'd rather have? I think I'd rather go with Tyrese Halliburton. Killian Hayes, great highlights. I recommend anybody who's not sure about any of these draft picks, if you haven't researched any of these draft picks that the Suns are going to be facing on November 18th for the past 8 months, because all that information has been out there for quite some time, visit Tankathon. You can go through and look, and they actually kind of compile a few different videos on each prospect. But I think that although Killian Hayes does have a little bit more professional experience, he's very, very young. He's not a complete player in my perception at that position. That's a lot of P's. Player, position, perception. He's somebody who he can't go left. And I think that that's something that is very developmental. Whereas I feel like Tyrese Halliburton, a little bit more polished, a better scorer, can shoot the ball from downtown better. And for those reasons, I say if I was to draft a point guard, which I've already stated I'm not for, I say let's go Tyrese Halliburton. What do you think, Matthew?
No, it's a good choice. I've never really been on the train for Tyrese Halliburton, but honestly, I can see the reasoning for it. The only reason I would say maybe not to draft him is just maybe he's a little bit raw right now. I don't know if we have the time. We're trying to chase that championship, I guess, next year. Something like that.
Chase the playoffs. Let's get there, huh?
Let's just chase the playoffs. Yeah, but he's a very talented guy, and it's crazy because Killian Hayes, to me, I like watching him. It's kind of weird. I like watching his flow on the court. I feel like he has a good flow to where he gets everybody involved. Both of them are great playmakers. Tyrese Halliburton might be better. Who knows? But Killian Hayes, there's something about him to where he seems like he's ready to go. He's ready to contribute. Maybe not. Maybe I'm off on both these guys, but I'm going to go Killian. I would rather have Killian Hayes. I feel like what I'm seeing and what I'm watching on the clips, he seems just more like he's developed and ready to go. Tyrese Halliburton, maybe he just needs a little bit more time, maybe a year or so. I don't think the Suns really have time to do that. So Killian Hayes, I feel like he might go number 1 in this year's draft. So obviously the Suns probably don't have a chance, but number 1 or number 2, but I would rather have Killian Hayes.
Well, okay, so we disagree there. I know that he's the number 1 prospect on KOC's big board, but he's been all over the place in mock drafts. So you look at our chat and you have, Steve says Hayes and Shamil says TH. So, we're all, as Suns fans, kind of torn between those two guys.
Yep.
Maybe we don't have to make that decision. So, all right, how about this one? Okay, if you were to draft a wing, I'll give you 2 guys from a wing standpoint. Would you rather draft Devon Vasel or Aaron Nesmith? These are 2 guys that we featured on the podcast previously. What are your thoughts?
All right, so my guy in this draft, if the Suns can land this guy, I would be very, very happy. So I would rather have Devon Vasel. This is my guy. If you want to be motivated in the morning, you're having a poopy day or something, watch this guy on YouTube. Watch his play. He'll get you jacked. He'll get you pumped. Because he's everything I feel like the Suns would need defensively. I feel like this guy, they both shoot pretty good from 3, I think, but Aaron Nesmith, he actually shoots 52% from 3, which is crazy. But Devon Vasel, when I watch him, he is the one prospect where I'm watching him, like, oh yeah, he's ready to go. He's ready to jump out of the gym. He can do pretty much anything on the court that you ask him to defensively, which is very, very great. He can improve his offense, of course, but I feel like if we can get the best guy in the draft from the defensive wise or whatever you want to say, I think honestly he can be the guy, and I think this would be a total steal. I think he's 5 on KOC's board right now, but honestly he would be a steal if we stayed at 10 and somehow he drops. That I would be very, very happy. Who would you take? Who would you rather?
Who would I rather? It's tough because when I first watched Aaron Nesmith's role and kind of went over some of his statistics and saw what his impact was, I was a big fan of what he did. I really think that he is a really good offense. But then I saw Devon Vasel from Florida State, and he's like Mikal Bridges 2.0, somebody who is definitely ready, I think, to play in the NBA. again, Aaron Nesmith might be a guy who's going to need to bulk up just a little bit, needs to adjust to the NBA game. Whereas I feel with Devon Vasel and the way that he's built and the way that he plays his game, he could be a plug and play on our second team for the Phoenix Suns, add some of that defensive depth, and really produce for the team going forth into the 2021 season. So if by some miracle he's there at 10, that's one of the few scenarios where I say utilize that pick and take that player. So you can kind of really see where I'm landing on that draft board for the Suns, at least a month out, is I want a wing and I want Devon Vasel. So we'll see kind of what actually happens, but that's who I would rather.
Great choice, man.
Thank
Very
you.
happy for you.
Thank you. And you look at the chat, and again, Boyd, Devon double up, Shamil, DV.
Yep.
And, Churchboy127, thanks for joining us, Devon Vasel. So, I think that a lot of Suns fans are agreeing with us there. Aaron Nesmith, though, I'm just telling you, Suns fans, because he's actually a guy who's projected to go in that range of number 10.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take your time and look over some of his highlights, and you'll see why he's somebody who is a top. He's a lottery pick player.
Yeah.
He definitely has the talent. I just think that Vasel is definitely more NBA ready.
Yeah. It's interesting because you watch Vasel first, and then you're like, maybe I'll check out Aaron Nesmith. He's actually very, very decent. So, give him a look. Next question, though. Would you rather keep – we ask this all the time, but would you rather keep the 10th pick or use it and Kelly Oubre to move up to get Obi Toppin?
So what you're saying is keep number 10 and draft with it, or use that pick and Kelly Oubre to move up in the draft, guarantee me Obi Toppin.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm a big Obi Toppin fan.
I know you are. That's the guy.
Yeah, he's like baby Stoudemire to me. He's the first guy I really started to delve into the draft, and he's one of the main reasons I was really upset about March Madness this year, because Dayton was like 29-2, and they were going to be a number 1 seed, and we were really going to have a great opportunity to see somebody try to take on the NCAA from a mid-major and carry a team, and we would have been treated to something I think really special. But I knew also at the same time that probably would have tanked any chance that we would have had at getting him. Man, I say keep Kelly. Keep Kelly in the number 10 pick. I really like Obi Toppin, but you know what? With Kelly, he's somebody who I think that is obviously the heart soul of this team. We've said it a million times. He's somebody who has created a culture here in Phoenix, and he's somebody who I know what I'm going to get from him. I don't know what I'm going to get from Obi Toppin. I've seen some great highlights. He's not very good at defense, neither is Kelly, but he could provide some spacing issues with Ayton if he was to play any minutes with Ayton. So I say hold on to Tsunami Papi in the number 10 pick versus moving up in the draft, and if it guaranteed me to get Obi Toppin. What are your thoughts, Matthew?
Interesting, because Obi Toppin, honestly, he was a guy I feel like was like a top 3 draft pick. All of a sudden, like he's kind of moving back, so he might land in the 10th spot anyways. But honestly, if you were to trade Kelly Oubre just to move up in the draft, I would say no, because I feel like Kelly Oubre in the draft pick should be for like a future not a free agent, but someone that can instantly come in and help this team, a veteran player. So it would be the better of Kelly Oubre plus a 10th pick. So we're looking, I feel like right now into the future, that the Suns are going to just add someone with the veteran leadership and the veteran on skill set or on the on-court skill set to really help this team right now. So that's what I would do with that. So I wouldn't trade up with Kelly Oubre in the 10th pick at all. I just would look for, getting that veteran player. So I'd rather just not do it, All
right, so we both agree on that one.
Yeah, we agree on that one.
And Steve in the chat, I think they trade back and rid themselves of Jerome's contract. It's not that big of a contract, but I will say this: trading back is something that I would probably see the Suns doing versus trading up in this draft. Nicholas Tan, shout out to Nicky Tan. Obi needs some work and has to work on his fundamentals. Then that's you're right. He's somebody who we don't know exactly where he falls now. And even Shamil says in the chat, he's too hyped like Marquise Chris. And that might be a very true statement. Obi's good, man. He looks really good. But Marquise Chris looked really good too. I don't know much about Obi's work ethic. That's why when we talk about Desmond Bane, it's exciting because you're hearing from multiple sources that this guy's a gym rat. I'm just going to try to outwork you. I love those junkyard dog types, man. That's the Javon Carters of the world. That's why I love those guys. And you look at Obi Toppin, I don't know that about him. I haven't seen the reports that say that.
No,
he was the big dude in a mid-major conference. So who knows what that actually will equate to on the court. So, okay, so we both agree on that one.
Yes.
Here's one, and you have to play the game, Matthew, because I know you like to deviate from the game. Would you rather have the Suns draft a point guard at number 10 or re-sign Javon Carter? You have to do one. You either draft a point guard at number 10 or you don't draft a point guard at number 10 and you keep Javon Carter.
All right. Well, I would rather re-sign Javon Carter. That's what I would do, just because. I'm sorry, what?
I was just going to say, like, okay, we agree on this one.
Oh, we do? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody wants Javon Carter back, but what it really brings to next year is you have Javon Carter coming back with the chemistry, the toughness, like you were saying, the junkyard dog thing that we want to see in these players. And he has that. He already has it. And what we want really is just the proven player. Javon Carter already proved it. And I think we can probably re-sign him. And I hope to God we do. Other than drafting a point guard at number 10, like we said before, when we're at the number 10 spot and after, we might just have wings left. There might not be any point guards. But if there was a point guard, I don't really want to take the chance on it. I don't want to take another chance if we have Javon Carter in a campaign who already proved that they fit in well with this team. So I would rather re-sign Javon Carter.
Yeah.
What about you?
Raymond Gonzalez in the YouTube chat agrees with you, and as do I. I've said it before. I want to draft a wing, so obviously I want to keep Carter as well. What I really am excited for next season is seeing Cam Payne and Javon Carter extrapolated over an 82-game season, more than just an 8-0 bubble experience. To really see if it's an anomaly or if it's something that is actually going to come to fruition and make our second team one of the best ones potentially in the NBA. Just consistent, have a consistent second team. So you can't do that if Javon Carter's not around. So I say you keep that pick and use it on a wing, and you keep Javon Carter, and everybody is happy.
Yes, yeah, we're agreeing on the good ones, though. You know, we know what the Suns fans want. That's how we do it over here.
Yep, and it looks like everyone, for the most part, Carter all day from Shamil in the chat. So I agree with that. I like Kevin, but he's not really a point guard. Better shooting guard next to Payne. Nicky Tan resign. Like John, loves watching defense. Defenses. You keep Javon Carter, you're keeping defense, and I think that that's something that's actually, very rare to find in the NBA these days. All right, round us off for our draft. Would you rather questions?
All right,
what do you got?
Last question. Would you rather trade the pick or would you rather keep it? We're going to ask this question every pod. Let's just keep it.
I think we've literally done this on every podcast since March.
I love it, though, because we change. People evolve. We have different opinions. I'm doing my debate stuff. All right.
Okay.
So
is that fly on your forehead? Is that fly on your hair?
Yeah.
Were you watching that when that happened? That was hysterical.
I thought it was like a piece of lint. It was huge. That was a monster.
Yeah, I thought, the rest of America, that a piece of a fly was on my TV. I was like, damn. And then Pence moved his head. I was like, oh, shit, that's hilarious.
How did it get off? Did they snipe it off his head?
I don't know. I changed the channel real quick.
I
checked the score on something and I came back. It was hilarious, though, because it was just like he was making a really good point about, social injustice, and all of a sudden, stop paying attention. There's a fly on your head, Mike Pence. So,
yeah.
I say trade the pick. And I agree with what Boyd said a little bit early and said again in the chat. Trade back.
Yes. That's basically trading the pick, right? You're just
that's what I'm saying. Like, if I've been going back and forth on this since March. I've always been of the my foundational stance on this is trade that pick. I don't trust this draft. Number 10, you're not going to get someone who's going to necessarily instantly contribute. But then we start to review the prospects and you see the guys who could potentially contribute. You get excited. And you're like, no, we need to keep that pick. Heck, trade up a couple spots. Don't do the dumb thing. Do the smart thing. Trade back. James Jones is known for doing that. I mean, look what he's done in his very short general managerial career with the Phoenix Suns. He trades back and gets more value for his picks, and he makes smart decisions. And I think that even by dropping back 3 or 4 spots in this draft, you're going to get somebody who you potentially already want, a la maybe a Desmond Bane, and get more assets for it for a team who's afraid that somebody's going to jump them. Because, again, this draft I really feel is going to be fucking crazy. Because it's 2020. Everything's already crazy. But I think that with people not really knowing how to evaluate these prospects, you're going to have a lot of GMs potentially trying to trade and jump the gun on things to ensure that they get their guy, the guy that their team has been spending the past 8 months scouting and they want on their team.
Yep.
And so trade the pick.
here we are 30 minutes in, and you've definitely hit the head on the nail. I think honestly, the smart part of the Suns front office really, ever since James Jones took over, dude, he's been killing it. So I would rather trade the pick, but I do trust this team to do the right thing, and that is going to be probably trade the pick. I don't see us sitting at number 7, or not number 10. Whoa, and then yeah, so I would rather trade the pick.
I got to get an audio drop for that, like hit the head on the nail.
Nail on the head, whatever.
Nail on the head and head on the nail, whatever. So there you go. There's your would you rathers for the draft. Now let's talk a little bit about free agency. Another thing that we've definitely talked about numerous times on the pod, but let's draw the line in the sand. Let's make our final assumptions on these things. So when they actually free agency starts, and the starting date for free agency, right?
Nope.
Yeah, nobody does. So if and when free agency ever begins, we can reference back to October 7th and be like, hey, on the would you rather, you said that you wanted to pursue this guy, not this guy, and we'll totally forget it because we forget everything. So free agency, would you rather pursue a point guard or a power forward?
All right. So earlier, just to recap, we love our point guard situation. So I would rather pursue a power forward just because I feel like that's the one position in the starting lineup where I'm looking for a starter. So what we have out there is the Jeremy Grants. We have the Dills Bertans. We have those guys that are available that we can maybe pursue, but I would rather pursue those guys than any other point guard. So I just think that's definitely the number one spot in the starting lineup we need to fill. And even if it's a backup point of power forward, if Sarge doesn't stick around, if he wants to be a starter somewhere else or something weird happens to where he's gone, maybe that's the situation that brings itself forward and we have to respond to that and somehow. But I feel like just the power forward position is just something we need this season. And it's crazy. It feels like we don't need too much to continue to succeed the way we did in the bubble, just maybe the backup center position and the power forward position. How about you? What would you pursue?
Would I rather? Yeah, I'm going to stick with you there. I think with Javon Carter, Cameron Payne, and obviously Ricky Rubio starting for the point guard position for the Phoenix Suns, power forward is where we're going to need some assistance. Javon Carter, obviously, we have to decide whether or not we're going to re-sign him or Dario Saric. And Dario is the one who has the more expensive contract. So if we were to let somebody go in those two scenarios, it'd probably be Dario. And in those two scenarios, I think obviously the power forward position, there's more depth there in this free agent class, as well as, more flexible players, guys who could either be starters or come in off the bench, Danilo Gallinari, Davis Bertans, a couple of guys who probably will be bench guys, but will get opportunities to start for this team as well as Monty figures out his rotations and see what's really effective and works for the team. So yeah, would I rather? I'd rather go after a power forward in free agency. I just think that there's a little more depth there.
Yeah, definitely. And it continues into our next would you rather. So would you rather pursue Chris Paul or would you rather pursue Aaron Gordon?
Now, obviously, these guys aren't free agents, but they're guys who we could potentially add to the team. And this one's actually tough because I almost kind of want to go against what I just said. I'd rather pursue Chris Paul. I'm a big Aaron Gordon fan. We've talked about it numerous times on the pod. I think the one thing that turns both of us off about him, definitely me, is just hearing what the fans say about him.
Yes.
And you can't read too much into the Reddit boards when you go to like the Orlando Magic Reddit boards and kind of interact with some of their fans. And you're just like, well, why? Like, Aaron Gordon seems legit, man. Like, he's athletic. He's been in dunk contests. He probably could work a little bit on his defense, but he's acceptable as a defensive player. And they just go, it's the inconsistencies. We've had too many Aaron Gordon type players in our careers here as Phoenix Suns fans, if you will. Whereas Chris Paul, if we were to make a decision, and again, these are hypotheticals. We're just throwing this shit against the wall, seeing if it sticks. If I had to choose between pursuing Chris Paul or pursuing Aaron Gordon, I would pursue Chris Paul.
Yeah,
what about you?
Would definitely. I'm right there with you. And I honestly think that I'd rather have Chris Paul just for the reason that OKC last year, when they got Chris Paul, everyone thought it would be an off year. He brought a lot of happiness and a lot of competitiveness to that team.
There was a lot of happiness. Everyone was smiling. There
was. And what's really weird is that we thought it would be the opposite, though, than locker room, because we always felt like maybe he was a bad teammate, what went on in LA. That wasn't really the case. I feel like when he came to OKC, he took over and he automatically gave this team a reason to win, a reason to play. And I feel like he would bring that to Phoenix. It would just be so great if this would happen, what we would give up to get him. But when the next season would start with him in our starting lineup as our point guard, everything would be turned around. Everybody would be actually really with this guy and happy that he is there with Devin Booker and bringing a little bit of joy to the Phoenix area, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I like what the chat that's going on. Let's see. Let me find this one. What Raymond Gonzalez said. Would you consider Aaron Gordon an empty star guy? And I think he means empty stat guy. Is he an empty stat guy? Do you think so?
I don't know. It's tough with that team, dude. The only way I feel like the Suns or another team can actually go after Aaron Gordon is if they see some way of them coaching him to make him, of course, contribute to a winning team. Like you said, it's scary that their team where Devin Booker was the empty stat guy. He was, but Suns fans have always backed Devin Booker. Aaron Gordon, their fans are not. So that's even scarier. So I don't know if I would be too excited now to have that guy come back or come to Phoenix. I would not be very excited.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing is the Suns will somehow, some way pull off a blockbuster trade to get Aaron Gordon in like 2 months, and we're going to be so behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. So, it depends. It depends what they give up.
Okay, so obviously that one is very far-fetched. And again, there's pros and cons to both of them. CP3's older. He's not somebody who, he's injury-prone. Aaron Gordon could be a potential empty stat guy. Like, these aren't guys who we necessarily are going to pursue. Let's talk about actual free agents, all right? Matthew, ask me a question.
Yeah. So would you rather pursue Fred VanVleet or Jeremy Grant?
Okay, this is a fun one. Would we rather pursue, or would I rather pursue, and by I clearly mean the Phoenix Suns because I'm not doing any pursuing, would I rather pursue Fred VanVleet or Jeremy Grant? Ooh, that's tough. Both of guys are going to be expensive. I mean, let's just start with that. We don't know what that salary cap's going to be, even if it's flat. I heard Dave King mentioned it on the latest solar panel podcast. They were talking about how potentially, if we move all the pieces correctly, we could have $20 million to play with, right? So if you start with the kind of that understanding, know that both of these guys are going to be expensive. Jeremy Grant's probably priced himself out of the market with his recent playoff performance, showing that he's just one of those guys who you need to have that kind of player on your team if you want to be successful. He's not going to be your superstar. Fred VanVleet's not going to necessarily be a superstar, but he can definitely be a star for your team. Whereas Jeremy Grant's not necessarily going to be a star for your team, but you're going to win because of him. And I think that's why I'm going to lean more towards Grant. Again, I think that we need more help in our front court. We need somebody who is athletic. Somebody, like we said earlier, you can never have too many wings. And Jeremy Grant is somebody who we've been talking about for a long time on the Suns Jam Session podcast. And I would definitely like to see in a Phoenix Suns uniform. I like Fred VanVleet. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he is the missing piece. And especially for the price that we're going to have to pay for him.
Yeah, definitely. Grant is someone, I feel like last week we were talking about Grant. I wasn't too excited to have him. I really wasn't. But when you look at him play and you go back to just watch the film, I mean, I don't study it like the coaches do or anything, but he's just a guy that is going to keep his head down and get the work done on the court. He's not really flashing the stats, and stats-wise, he's not at all. But he's doing the things to get to the hole to make on defense, he is pretty astounding. So that is pretty cool to have on the team. But with the Fred VanVleet, I think I would just rather have Jeremy Grant for the reason because Fred VanVleet, other than him bringing kind of like a rest to Papa Ricky, I feel like you would start Ricky Rubio. Fred VanVleet would maybe come in, maybe end up starting later in the year. But Fred VanVleet can just relieve a lot of the minutes for Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker to where you can mix and match those guys constantly. So you have just kind of a consistent like base of point guards coming in and out. So that would be great. But besides that, I would just rather have Jeremy Grant for the reason that he would fill a big spot for the Suns. And I think he would help automatically. And just, we have a good lineup right now. And I think maybe just adding him would get a little bit of an extra spark. And honestly, he's had the experience in the playoffs too, a lot of years. So that would be great too as well. But Fred VanVleet has that too, of course. I mean,
yeah, he's won a champion.
Well, he won an NBA championship. But I'm just saying, I'm not comparing those two that way. I'm just saying that, yeah. So next question.
Well, I get what you're saying, though. I mean, the pro of Fred VanVleet is you do have that consistent offensive scoring output coming from the guard position throughout the entire game. The advantage of having Jeremy Grant is it's either Jeremy Grant or Dario Saric and Jeremy Grant's clearly better. So
I don't know, man. Sarich is just, he's that guy though, where everyone loves this guy. I feel like if we're going to pay more for Jeremy Grant, of course, maybe, but if they're going to make the same amount of money, yes, Jeremy Grant, but what we get out of Sarich, I think is pretty decent, especially in the bubble. We saw a lot from Sarich, his new diet and all that is working out. And I think he can maybe improve next year too, as well. But yeah, anyways. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we could literally do an entire podcast on just this topic, because I really think there's a lot of complexity to it. There's a lot of different variations. There's a lot of contract negotiations and things that we could talk about. But just, kind of broadly on the surface, we both agree that if we had the chance, if we were, James Jones, we would rather pursue Jeremy Grant versus Fred VanVleet.
Yes, we agree.
Okay. On the surface. Okay. How about, I'm going to skip one of these here. How about, would you rather save money this year or spend money?
Oh, dude. So I'm all about the now with this team, if you haven't noticed in the podcast. So I'm ready to spend the money, because I don't think you can really wait into the future. I know you have bigger free agents into the next offseason, but what's really going to happen between then and now? Like, you could have a terrible season again, baby, if you don't spend money now, and then Booker's looking elsewhere. All that stuff could happen. So you got to spend it now. And I think there's actually some decent pieces to where you can give some help to this team. And I think that they know now to where I trust the front office, especially in the draft, all of that. But when they're going to go into free agency, I've heard that Monte, they want to spend money. So that is the right thing to do, because you just got to build around this team right now. You can't worry about the next offseason. How many times do we always talk about, oh, let's wait till the next offseason? Like, let's just wait. Like, there's going to be better free agents. And then that offseason comes, it's like, oh, we have no chance to get these guys. That's probably going to be the same thing again. So you might as well just spend the money.
Okay. I say save the money. There's not going to be a lot of money to really maneuver. I mean, $20 million potentially, if we pull all the right levers this offseason to spend. You're going to spend a lot of those on mid-level contracts and veteran minimums to kind of fill your roster at the back end of it. But I think that, short-term greed, long-term greed, the long-term greed is not this offseason, it's the next offseason. Man, I might go against what I'm thinking now, because you could maybe spend all the money that you have this year, knowing that it's going to be 1 or 2 year contracts, because guys that uncertainty is out there, and they might just, sign something, a $10 million deal here, a $12 million deal here, just in an effort to be on a contract with the team, see if they like it. But it's only a 1 year deal, knowing that the next offseason that salary cap might increase once again if, we can get fans back in the stands and things of that nature. So literally in the middle of my comment, I changed from save it to spend it. So,
ooh, nice. Did I change your mind at all? Was that me?
No, it wasn't 1 ounce to you. You were not persuasive at all. Horrible points actually by you. I didn't want to say them out loud, but now that you've pushed it, those were actually fucking horrible points, Matthew. And I'm disappointed as you, as a podcast host and as a friend.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm fucking joking. Of course I am.
I rehearsed that take all night last night, and I was like really definite I was going to kill on it, and you just crushed my steam.
And I rehearsed my retort. There you go. How about that one?
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more free agency would you rather, and then we have some fun random questions at the end.
Yes.
All right, so a question.
Yep. Definitely, dude. All right. So would you rather keep believing in the young core, this is a good one, or trade for the superstar?
This is the tough one, because this is that short-term greed and long-term greed thing again. It's like, okay, long-term greed, try to go for somebody like Giannis Antetokounmpo. I believe in the young core, man. I'm just going to, we're running short on time. I believe in the young core.
Okay.
I don't believe in going and getting that superstar. I love team. And I think that you build from within, and then ultimately that's successful. You look at a lot of the great organizations, other than what the Lakers are fucking doing this year, where they literally have bought a championship. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, who came up through their ranks? Alex Caruso? Like, come on, man. Like, it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis are. But look at the Warriors, man. That's how the Warriors did it until they, lucked out by the way that the cap worked and everything and got KD. But they had won a championship before that. Look at Toronto. Yeah, they got Kawhi Leonard. They added that star, but the rest of that team is, self-built, Serge Ibaka came over in a shrewd move from OKC, but I think that the Suns, add the right pieces, and we can win a championship, man. I really believe that. What about you?
All right. So back in the day, Hunter Hearst Helmsley told Stone Cold Steve Austin, don't trust anyone.
Ooh,
So
DTA.
yeah, DTA Austin. So I think honestly, we love these guys. It's a young core, but so did the Lakers. I love their young core. Look what they got. They got the championship this year. Not saying it's over yet because I still believe in the Heat, but I would love to trade for the superstar. I would love to give up the whole young core besides Devin Booker for a superstar to pair him with. That's just the way it is. I mean, we've been waiting too long. I think everyone brings up the Warrior situation. That is tough because they hit on a lot of good draft picks, and they were doing that before anybody was really trying to do it. A lot of people were trying to trust the process and all that. It just never worked for anybody else. So I don't believe it'll ever really happen again. So I would definitely trade for the superstar.
Okay, well, Nicholas Tan asked a great question in the chat. Who do you have in mind for a superstar, Matthew? He called you up by name.
He asked me that before he even knew my answer. Did you know my notes?
Serious question.
So serious question. Anybody that is a top 5 player, apart from Giannis?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
So who do you have in mind? Who can the Suns get in the next 2 years to put next to Devin Booker?
Yeah.
Is it a Bradley Beal?
No, it would be a Giannis. That's the superstar you want, the AD. So, okay, Anthony Davis 2 years ago was the best player in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Now he's the third best player behind Giannis. At second, and LeBron, I still think is the first. Giannis is the guy to go get. AD is the guy to go get. That is a superstar. I don't think there's anybody else I would trade my whole young core for. It's just Giannis would be that guy.
Ben Simmons?
No.
Ask Raymond in the chat. No, that's not superstarish enough for you.
Absolutely not. So I hope. I mean, Nicholas Dan, I hope that actually answers it. It's not like there's a whole long list of what I want to trade away for. Kevin Durant, there's one. Hey, but he's never going to come here. But yeah, that's a guy. But besides that, no.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the tough thing, and I think that's why I believe in the young cores, because to me it's plausible. It's what we have. And landing that superstar, that hasn't happened in Phoenix since, the summer of 92. So I mean, it's like it's really tough. Even a star, even to put a star next to Devin Booker is tough. Bringing in a Bradley Beal, bringing in a Ben Simmons, those guys are stars. Those are all stars. They're not superstars, but they're all stars. And even bringing those guys in, I mean, it's just so tough. And we've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. We have to develop a culture that is indicative of drawing these guys to us. We're working on that. We're having we're moving in that direction, but we're not there yet. We need to have a really good season. We need to showcase that the owner doesn't want to stick his fucking nose into everything that's going on and decimate what Monty Williams and James Jones are trying to prove. He needs to do that for another year. Stay the fuck out. Write the checks.
Yes.
Write the check for the new arena. Write the check for the new workout facility, and just back the fuck up, Sarver.
That's what we had this year.
Yeah, and we need that to happen again this next season and off season. And then after that, then we can start to really look at and the NBA and players will look at Phoenix as a potential free agent destination. So, but getting that superstar, I mean, that's why I believe in the young core. All right, how about some fun random questions? All right,
let's do it, dude.
Would you rather, Matthew, have the Suns' new court design be gray like Brooklyn's or pattern like the University of Oregon?
I thought about this a while ago, actually, because it's funny because you hate that Brooklyn court so much, and I kind of like it, but it would not work with the Suns. So I'd rather have the University of Oregon court. But I mean, of course, there wouldn't be the trees. There would be something like a sun. So kind of like a design like that maybe would fly, like a light sun, something like that. But honestly, both these are horrendous. I would never want any of this at all. I'm excited for the new court and see what it looked like, but what would you rather have out of those two?
Well, for those who are watching on the live stream, we actually pulled up a picture of both of those courts side by side, and they're both fucking ugly. The Barclays Center court, it is all gray, and then you have the University of Oregon, and it literally is like, it looks like you're laying down on the ground, and you're looking up at trees, and it's just, both of them are fucking weird. I'm going to go with the Barclays Center. I think that, the Suns could potentially do something. Maybe not gray. What if it was all orange? God, that would be gross. But I'd rather go gray. I'd rather go gray than do whatever the hell Oregon's trying to do. It's too much. It's like, I don't know if you've ever watched Pac-12 basketball and watched an Oregon game. It's the worst thing ever, man.
Pretty bad.
because you really can't see it. The camera angle doesn't really capture what they were trying to go for in their design, and it just looks like somebody like threw up on the court, and it's disgusting. So
it's really bad, man.
yeah, not a fan of that one at all. All right, what else you got?
All right, so would you rather have your eggs over easy or eggs scrambled?
I'm an over easy guy. I love over easy eggs. I like biscuits and gravy. Then you get like an over easy egg on top of that. Egg sandwiches, eggs over easy. Yeah, that's how I roll. Are you a scrambled egg guy? Or are you an over easy guy?
So I would just rather have scrambled eggs 3 or 4 days in a row than do over easy. I can't eat scrambled eggs too many days in a row. I get kind of sick of it. But I do eat a lot of eggs every morning.
Really?
But I'm a scrambled eggs guy, and then maybe over easy on the weekend. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're socially an over easy guy. Like when you go out to breakfast with friends or brunch with friends on the weekends, you're like, eggs over easy. You want to be classy. But if you're at your home alone, you're just stirring those eggs and scrambling. They're easy to make.
It says on my Tinder account. Exactly. Just like that. Occasionally.
You get a lot of swipe rights on that?
Yes. About 2.5.
All right, here we go. Here's another fun one. Would you rather have Booker for the next 3 years and you're guaranteed a conference championship appearance, or trade for Giannis and leave it up to fate?
Oh, I would rather definitely stick it out with Booker. I mean, what is a better story than Booker sticking around and making a conference championship? Maybe not the finals. Who knows? But that would bring a tear to my eye a little bit. I mean, just the fight. But honestly, I would do the Booker. Yeah, I would not do. Yeah. Anyways,
I'm going with Booker too. Like I get it. Trade for Giannis, leave it up to fate. It'd be nice to have Giannis as a part of this organization, but Devin Booker's our guy. And if you guarantee me the next 3 years we're in a conference championship, no matter what, I'm happy. And when we lose that conference championship, I shall blame it on the refs.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, if we got Giannis and like nothing worked out, can you imagine how shitty that would feel? Like the Clippers,
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
All right, so would you rather, when you get Filibertos, would you rather get the green sauce or would you rather get the red sauce? Or I mean, any of these places, any of the Orotos.
Yes, I go to Raleigh Bertos,
okay.
Cave Creek and Cactus, delicious. I drive miles just to go to that one because they make the best shit ever. It depends. If I go with a breakfast burrito, I go red sauce. If it's any other item, whether it's a carne asada burrito, California burrito, whatever, it's the green sauce.
Whoa, that's awesome. I'm actually opposite. I do green sauce with my breakfast burritos, and then honestly, red sauce with anything after the AM.
Well, Raymond Gonzalez, he's a green sauce kind of guy, and you know what? I think both of us just prove neither choice is wrong.
It's very beautiful food.
All right, this one was on Bleacher Report yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. Would you rather trade Devin Booker for Ben Simmons straight up, or that's it? That's all I put. Or would you rather not? There you go.
No, I would rather not. Of course not, man. He's got the girl. He's got the good basketball team. He doesn't have the complexity of everything on the court and like just a stupid look on his face. I mean, Ben Simmons is awesome and is an all-star, but Booker, he's where it's at, dude. He's definitely just the guy that's never going to be traded from this franchise unless he wants to walk away.
Yeah, I like to put my I like to bet on the guy who's with the Jenner right now, not the guy who's with the Jenner, a couple years ago. So I'm going to stick with Devin Booker on this one.
Me too.
I like Ben Simmons, I do, but Devin Booker is just, like you said, polished. He's very he's becoming more and more polished, and I know what I get from him. Ben Simmons, it's just like everybody I've talked to who's a Sixers fan is they love him, but they're frustrated by him, and they're all Joel Embiid kind of fans of him. So there's a reason for that. So.
There is, man.
Any other would you rather questions?
Yeah. Would you rather vote for Trump or would you rather vote for Biden? Serious question. Get your
man.
Vote. I'm just joking.
Well, no, seriously. Politics isn't something we ever really delve into on the Suns Jam Session podcast. So I'm going to vote for Trident or Brump.
That's my vote.
I'll tell you who I'm going to vote for. It's either going to be Adam Silver or one Matthew Lissy. But I will say this. Make sure you guys go out there and vote. Okay?
Yeah, I guess. Or don't. Go vote.
No, definitely vote. I definitely think everybody, this is the beauty of our democracy, is everybody has a chance to vote, and I think that everybody should do so. Who you vote for, that's on you. Me personally, I'll keep that one to myself. I'm voting for Adam Silver, man. That guy, what he did in the bubble is nothing short of amazing. You look at the NFL and like they get more cases. You look at the MLB, they're it's all weird. The bubble nailed it. So
Yes.
I'm with Ray Gonzalez. Write in. Everybody, write in Adam Silver or Matthew Lissy.
Yes. There you go. So, Matthew Paul Lissy. Yeah.
Matthew Paul Lissy. All right. We got about 5 minutes left. So let's just have a real quick mailbag question. You can email us at sunsjamsession@gmail.com, or you can visit sunsjamsession.com. And these are where you can leave these comments and or questions. Let's try this one out. Okay. This is coming from at Grappling Gilia on Twitter. Last summer, it was rumored that Kelly asked for over $20 million for 3 to 4 years. The Suns offered significantly less and compromised at 2 years and $15 million. What do you think he asks for next summer?
He's going to, okay, so for next summer, it depends on this year, right? I mean, if he actually comes out and he plays like he did last year, but with a little bit of an improvement, a lot of teams are going to pick up on that. A lot of guys, he's going to be a guy that can actually help a championship team win. I feel like he can be the hustle guy, exactly what they need. I feel like he can get at least 20 mil, so that would be more. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's based on his performance this upcoming year, but I think regardless, 15 million is probably what he's going to ask for at the end of next season, even if he has a bad season, because he's already somebody who is, kind of entering his prime. He's not hit his prime yet. He's entering his prime, and he's already been provided a contract like that. So if the Suns do keep him next year throughout the duration of the season, at the end of next season, the baseline is going to be 15 million. And that, becomes the great, and that's what's created the great Kelly debate, is whether or not you trade him now and try to maximize his value, knowing that you might not be able to afford him at the end of next season. So I think that he's somebody who's probably going to ask for more, and I think 20 million is probably a good guess.
Yeah, definitely, dude. And I think he'll be deserving of it. I mean, no one's ever rooting for against Kelly. It's just it's something that we always have to talk about, just because his contract's so short. I mean, he's making 15 mil, which is very reasonable right now for him. But we are rooting for that guy. Absolutely.
So that's all I got, Matthew. Anything else going on? What else are you watching besides the NBA Finals? We didn't even talk about the NBA Finals on this one. We're gonna have to talk about that next week, I guess.
Oh my God, we didn't. It's probably going to happen right after the NBA Finals. But yeah, okay. So I'm still not out on the Heat. I still think we have a chance. I think they're going to lose still, because I picked the Lakers, obviously. As everybody knows, listening to this podcast, I picked the Lakers to win, which I guess
a long time ago.
But honestly, what do you think about this NBA Finals?
I'm disappointed, obviously. I'm a Suns fan. I fucking hate the Lakers. You're much more of a LeBron guy than I am.
Is it really like the Lakers? I mean, I know the Lakers are the Lakers, but it's like it's Anthony Davis and LeBron. They'll probably be here for 2 or 3 years. Like, is it really like a Lakers team you can hate that much? I guess it could be.
Absolutely.
LeBron is annoying to look at on the court. I give you that. He's the fakest person to watch. Interviews, all that. His face, I just...
Well, and just the way that he reacts to his teammates, I get it. He's intense, okay? But he overacts to prove how intense he is.
Yeah.
It's annoying, man. Like, a guy will miss a guy on defense, and that's something that bothered me about Booker a lot in his career, and that's something that he's really stopped doing in this past season, was calling out his teammates in the middle of the game, and LeBron does that shit. So I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of Anthony Davis because the way he forced himself out of New Orleans. Like, if I was a New Orleans fan and that's my guy, if Devin Booker did that, if next year the Suns are, tracking towards the playoffs or tracking towards not making the playoffs, and Devin Booker starts pissing and moaning and, saying shit on Twitter and trying to get out of his contract and not playing. And, his last game there, he's wearing "That's all, folks." I mean, it's just, he's walking around just flipping off his fan base at all times. And they don't care about the fans. They care about the next paycheck and what they want to do with their careers. And that's their careers. That's fine. That's what they can do. But it doesn't mean I have to support or like you. And so I'm not a big fan of Anthony Davis for that reason, And the thing is they were getting to the playoffs. They just weren't getting out of the first round, a lot of because of his performances. So the Lakers are easy to hate this year. The Heat are the exact opposite. They're a team I enjoyed watching. I like team play. I love the culture that they have there with that Pat Riley's built. I love a lot of their players. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Butler and the way that, he's a Desmond Bain kind of guy, a guy who's just, like the junkyard dog. And I want the Heat to win. I want them to perform better. And what drives me crazy about this series is every time Caldwell Pope is in that one corner, he hits that three every time. I'm like, that was the biggest shot of the game last night. I mean, it was close. It was 2 points, 4 points, 5 points, 2 points. And then he hit that, and then he made a driving layup, and the game was over, and I was just frustrating, man. Like, I'm not a fan of the Lakers to begin with. Can't stand that franchise. The only franchise I can't stand more is the San Antonio Spurs. And then to see them win because they've wrote some checks, and you got LeBron there faking it up. It just, I clearly, it frustrates me. And this NBA Finals has been not as NBA digestible from an NBA standpoint as I would like to. I was hoping to be more competitive, but obviously Bam going down, Goran, Dragic going down. It's just been really frustrating.
Honestly, what Anthony Davis did, I don't blame him. Like he said, he's going to get paid, but he can take this franchise in the other direction. You need that other guy like LeBron. He was never going to get the help in New Orleans, which I don't blame him for wanting to get. The way he did it sucked, but
that's the way he did it.
But look at the way Jimmy Butler got out of Minnesota. It's almost like the same thing, but now we just love Jimmy Butler because he's a hustle guy, because they're the underdog. But this Lakers team doesn't hurt me, or like I don't have that disgust for them like with the Kobe Lakers. Like the old Lakers teams, I just fucking hated. I don't know why. I can't understand why I don't have that hate for them really as much as I used to. Maybe because it's just a put together team just to win a couple championships and they're gone. It's win the championships. We're not going to compete with them at all these years. So you might as well just win them. And then, the whole team could be destroyed after a couple of years. Hopefully they go back.
But the other reason for that is because the Suns were playing the Lakers in the playoffs consistently. And we had, we were amazing, and as were they. And Kobe, was a viable threat that we knew wasn't going anywhere. To your point, like LeBron's 35 and he might play till he's 40. And he might, but that's 5 more years. Fuck, I can't do 5 more years of LeBron. I'm so sick of it. I respect him. He's a fantastic player. We're blessed to have him as a generational talent. I can't stand watching him. I can't stand watching him. I can't stand it.
So you respect him, but you just can't watch him. I mean, that's the point.
But that's how I felt with Kobe Bryant, though. I respect Kobe Bryant, but I couldn't fucking stand him.
See, I was the same way with Kobe. I loved watching him play the same way.
I liked watching Kobe play. I like watching Kobe play. I don't like watching LeBron play. It's too much flopping and flipping. Every time a guy touches, that guy's 6'8", built like a brick shit house. He's like a tight end for the Cleveland Browns out there. A guy touches them, and when James Harden does it, it's annoying. When LeBron does it, it's ridiculous. It's like, come on, man. Like, anyways.
Dude, honestly, until the refs stop calling that shit, then they're gonna keep doing it. Every player does this. We just have to deal with it until they change the rules. Which I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Shamil in the chat nailed it. LeBron should be the Gypsy King, wandering around for championships. I don't know how every fucking podcast we end up. It's because obviously he's playing in the finals and he's gonna get his 4th ring out of 10 tries. But we always end up having the LeBron debate. But anyways, that's it. How are your fantasy football teams doing? Well, I hope.
Not bad.
All right, that's good. As long as they continue to play. So the Cowboys are playing at 1:25 and the Cardinals are playing at 10 a.m. So
I do not watch the Cowboys. I haven't watched them in 3 weeks, dude. I'm just done with that team. Biggest Cowboys fan right here, but I am sick of their shit. I watch the Red Zone. That's it.
What time you coming over on Sunday?
I was gonna say I'll be over there. I'll watch any other games besides the Cowboys. I don't even care who they're playing. The worst team in the league, I don't even care, dude. They can win 50-0. I'm not gonna watch that crap.
Dude, they're playing the fucking Giants, which might be the worst team in the league this year. Anyways,
they'll lose.
That's it for this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. Remember, as always, to follow us on Twitter at Suns Jam. You can subscribe to the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on YouTube as well. That's where you can watch our live stream podcasts. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, ring that bell, so you'll be notified anytime that we go live. This beer is empty, so it's time to go get another one. So I'm done. Thank you for joining us, people. Matthew.
All right. Everyone go home and love your family.
Take care, everybody.